Messengers of Satan. I woke up this morning at 8 in the morning, very loud lawnmower, thinking to myself, is it something I said that I'm having a long weekend and I'm going to be enjoying a Monday? So first lawnmower started at 8 in the morning, second lawnmower started at 9 in the morning, third lawnmower started at 10 in the morning, fourth lawnmower started at 11 in the morning. Extra loud drilling, cutting the grass, and a demonic evil old woman that sounds similar to me in her laughter. Similar but more artificial. And my laugh is genuine. The sky, there's no cloud, no thick cloud, completely clear. And the heat was so hot, so notice, when there's no cloud in the sky, there's more evil about. Such deep, heavy, that's what that old woman sounds like. A deep, heavy sense of being, what's the word? Humidity. So there's a lot of humidity, and I've dried myself by wiping myself, so my skin is dry, removing the sweat, and I'm drinking plenty of water, and I've sprayed myself. But it was everything that the devil has done through the devil's lot by intensifying my pain and increasing my problems, which is the main bad character or the bad personality disorder. Yeah, and so it started at 8 in the morning and it finally sort of stopped at 1:30ish in the afternoon. And I refused to shut my doors, I refused to shut my windows, I refused to retaliate and shout at them, I refused to stick my head out the window, I refused to stick my head out the door. I just didn't want to be seen and heard, to further provoke them or provoke them back with ammunition. And so they did it, I think, because of the fact that they wanted to ruin my long weekend, and the fact that I said I have a long weekend. And they do this nearly every day. It's not only on a Monday, but they seem to have made it stronger to make this evil rebellion rise. I mean, they do this noise pollution anyway, and I don't know why they don't start drilling and making all this from 11 in the morning or 12 in the morning. No, they're building for nearly 10 years. They've made noise pollution. They've made a new school opposite, and so it's constant noise pollution. And I resisted the temptation of putting my earplugs in because it can cause an ear infection, and I have had bloody ears before of not misusing the earplug, but of it, I don't have enough ear wax as a result, and because of overuse of earplugs, so I didn't wear earplugs. And another thing that I saw on my ceiling was some sunshine, as if it was water reflecting. And what it was my water reflecting from my bottle. And it was nice because it was like seeing sort of like a rainbow or some type of similar to a rainbow on my ceiling. And I felt sort of arrested in my own home. It was like a house arrest. A heavy weight of noise pollution on me. I couldn't hear myself think. I couldn't do anything but lay down and pray, or sit down and pray. Keep washing myself with a shower every time I go to the toilet, and applying some strong creams and oils and deodorants on my armpit. and creams on my armpit to remove any stinging, because recently I had something done similar to waxing, but it's not waxing, it's just removing my hair. So I'm going to go to another Bible reading against this type of oppression, noise pollution. They got away with this for 10 years of living here. Noise pollution, too much noise, inconsideration, and total annihilation. So it is very, very bad. I have what looks like a petal. It's like a petal cover, and I designed it by adding Velcro on it instead of a zip. I used to have a seamstress, but sadly that seamstress no longer is here. This is like my cover, which is cotton. So it seems as though the enemy is stalking me so they can find out what I like, and then they will destroy that entire business. This is what I mean by riots. They will actually shut down a business because they know they're helping me and they like me. So the next target would be my cleaners. They would actually attack my cleaners' business because they know they like me or they've helped me, which is extremely scary as a result of using social media. And so I'm hoping to find some help. I don't know where to go to or turn to find help and support that I need against this assault on all professionals who are helping me. And there goes the car revving. I mean, I did not want to record them, but they were revving the car for about an hour like that in the neighborhood. I did not want to record them in my deliberation. My intention is not to record them because they are seeking attention. They're attention seekers in a negative sense. So I've put this there to hide my cleavage because I want to be decent. It's not as if I'm naked. I'm not naked. I'm fully clothed. But I just covered myself because I don't want that to pop out. Mr. Popeye. Mr. Popeye. It's very sticky and horrible, and I've washed myself in cold showers to cool down and just pray to God to help me have perseverance against all types of betrayals. So this one, I need a pen. My pen's on the other side. I'll be back. God, the Darth Vader. So God just wants to see how they rise. And so, again, I remember going to see my doctor. And I was sitting there waiting in the queue. And I decided to take a picture of me. Been waiting for an hour for nothing. He gave me wrong medication. And I noticed the stalker telling my doctor to pee off. And he actually sat, he's a madman. He sat there in the queue waiting to be seen by my doctor. And he urinated the chair. So some type of stalker or demon had urinated the chair while waiting for the doctor. That's my picture there that I've actually put in my book within all my prayers. So do include my photos within my prayer. And so this demon, oh, here goes the cleavage again. Oh, can't say I can't wish I have no breasts. And so it says, rejoicing in the presence of God, because God had to put my smile back on my face when I realized that God was actually using demons to expose the evil doctor. If he wasn't an evil doctor, the demons wouldn't have been so hypersensitive. But why were the other demons working for God too? No. The demons were hypersensitive because he was being empowered to cut my ovary and make a hysterectomy. This particular doctor involved was in the private sector. And this demon spirit, that it goes to show that God could use anybody. God could even use a demon to alert me, to make me realize that something's wrong, something's not right. But I was so stupid, so foolish, to actually put my trust in a doctor. And I did so even more than God, and I didn't realize. God tried to tell me, and I still did not realize. In my prayer, as I randomly called God, help, protect, preserve, and point me in the right direction. So I was praying for Ama before the surgery, and it says in the Bible, I put my trust in you. So the demon spirit had swapped the real God for Ama, my other doctor. His first name was Ama, and his second name was Post something blank. For privacy and confidentiality, I don't want to mention the entire name. So as I was praying in the Bible and consulting God and calling on to God, you're in charge. I have confidence in you. Not to encounter him, not realizing that the demon spirits were swapping, that he's now going to be a God with a small g, and me putting full confidence in him for having this surgery. And this was in 2015 when I had my ovary cut. So my ovary, my belly, and my back, 3 major things. And was he sincere? Is he really going to take me up to another level, like a type of a alien operating on me? And no, he actually was genuinely concerned that my ovary was pushing my bladder, and it was hurting me, and it was getting very big compared to the other ovary. So I had to have it cut. Sometimes women have to have their breasts cut because they have cancer. So I'm with 1 ovary, but I'm still a woman. I'm not less of a woman. And I have less pain from the chronic pain I had with it pushing my ovary. Oh, this is lovely to stay cool and discreet. I like this cover. I like Pink Blossom. And so, again, this, I'm surrounded by the enemy, which is a dog type personality, as a neighbor. So it could have been somebody in my neighborhood, without me even knowing the neighbor, who was urinating in a chair to try and tell me, don't trust this doctor, it's a doctor evil. And so I had the encounter with the doctor, and he said, oh, well, you can trust me. And I could see this ovary. And when you had the MRI scan. So he did that, he found it by accident. But his main speciality was my stomach, where he had put tubes in my mouth, endoscopy, and tubes in my backside, colonoscopy, as a type of an arch. And I suspect that he had inserted some bacteria, in addition to me having rotavirus, to bloat up my stomach, or they did something. Either he did it accidentally or he did it intentionally. When I told him, he said he could see a black bit. So the way he spoke to me sounded very suspicious, very mischievous. And his personality is the cat-dog type, not the dog-cat type. And so this is what was so scary about it, is that he was godless. He wasn't a Christian doctor. And he was tempting me with the devil influencing him. The devil was influencing him. And so I asked for every time he examined me, I requested to have a chaperone woman to observe him examining me. Where does it hurt? So the neighbours already knew this, and the neighbours are obviously very, very demonically influenced. And so it was their way of protecting me, that God could even use the most demonic individual to send me a warning that something's not right. And so this man who was stalking me, I suspect was one in connection to my neighbours, had been sitting down on the other side. And I didn't even notice him until somebody told somebody else in the building, get this man out of here. He's just urinated the chair. He didn't come across as a madman. He came across as eloquent, posh, ordinary, clean, tidy. He didn't look like a drunkard individual. And so he didn't try to make any excuses. He just simply left. And I thought, how bizarre. This is so strange. And but it was Ama who was upset by it. My doctor was more upset by this man than I was, as if he knew something. And all around me, above me and below me, I didn't realize that I was being spied on and stalked by every step I took. So I put my foot in it when I asked him the questions regarding my medical examinations and things like that. And I didn't feel afraid of him. I felt that he was being very friendly, and he would go out of his way to help me more than most people. And he hated me to pay for his services because he said I could get it free on the NHS, even though I did pay anyway. Some of the times I saw him. And every time I became involved, for every appointment and follow-up appointments, I was just actually physically attracted to him. I actually fancied him. And I didn't know why. And then I realized when I was praying, why do I feel physically attracted to him? He just looks ordinary. And he's caring for me. And so he's involved in some commissioning where I don't have to pay. And why do I fancy him? And I said, God, he may be a married man. And he's my doctor. What? Please, God, help me. If it is meant to be true love, and he's single for a long time, and you've empowered him to help my body, and I said, God, will you show me? Is it lust or is it love? Do you believe it love at first sight? So then God confirmed it was definite. Him tempting me. He was tempting me. So God and God's people will not be tempted. I then felt very uncomfortable about him. I was crying that I actually fancied him, and I couldn't understand why I fancied him. And then God showed me that it was because of a certain personality, which was a cat dog, not dog cat. And I was very reluctant to see him. I was disgusted that God gave me a warning that he was actually flirting, and he's an adulterous, horrible man, and he's a bad doctor. And it's very relevant because it goes to show we can only trust God. And that anything that he did which was dramatic to give me like this commissioning or give me extra treats or extra free services. It was actually to make me trust him again, like a baby who needed burping or a baby that needs farting. When you relieve the baby, it wants more. And I think that's what he was treating me like. He's treating all his patients, but particularly me, as this baby. Trust me. I want you to trust me, and I'll relieve you from pain. I'll do this for you, and I'll do that for you. So none of his medication that he gave me privately worked for 5 years. It was husk that I was drinking, husk, and wheat, like drink, and then, which actually made it worse. I became even more bloated. I was taking Buscopan. I was taking omeprazole to make my stomach less acidy. I was taking all types of medications for the stomach that he prescribed that didn't have from the pharmacy. So he treated me, first of all, as some type of a bad dog, and then he treated me as a bad cow to be slaughtered at the farm. And he hinted it. So he was targeting me because I was a migrant. And then I discovered, to my horror, that the whole doctor's surgery is anti-migrant, is an extreme, far-right extremist. Or, I mean, I like people who are conservative, but not when it comes to politically targeting individuals for their race. So that experience resembles my Jesus Christ on the cross. And I was unaware of the fact and how serious it is to make excuses, to say, I trust you because you're a professional, or I trust you because I don't have anybody else. There is no one else that will do a job, do a favor. And so no, that I am very uncomfortable with the idea that I would be timid in any meeting, because I would stand up and say, no, this is wrong, and ask the question of those who have ridiculed me and said that they recognize I am honest, but I haven't scrutinized them to see if they're honest, or if they are going to change their minds later on and do something dishonorable or consume my civil rights. And so that's the burning in hell. That's hell on earth. And I yet still have to do, priority-wise, is when it's cooler in the evening, get rid of any app from Google that is attacking me and my custom and that does not respect me. Remove it. I have to consult the individual who complimented me for being honest, who wants to provide me a cleaning service for free of charge. So it's a freebie, because they recognized that my housing association has stopped my local council for providing me a free service for collecting my rubbish. And at the same time, that's how they want to attack my tenancy. So they've successfully, my housing association has implemented a new policy through my council that did offer me the rubbish assistant clearance. They then stopped it, politicised it, said I was in the flat, not in the house, where I had actually used their services for 4 years. About 3 years or something like that. So I did try to reinstate it and said it's not COVID-19 anymore. Could you continue assisting me with my rubbish collection? Because I don't want to be accumulating rubbish in my home, and I will do some of it myself too. No, no, you can't have both. You can have one or the other. So again, this is wrong, that they won't let me have both services. So I'm being exploited and paid £200 a month to have my rubbish cleared. And I'm very grateful to that man that does that for me. And so I don't have this encouragement. I'm actually, they're becoming more involved. They've triggered to come and see my home for an inspection after being 2 months late for me being sick, from being too cold in the winter. There was no central heating. It was all not working properly. I just had a hairdryer to keep warm. And they kept wanting to repair the old boiler. They kept coming into my home too many times. And of course I had to let them to try and fix the old boiler. And then after 6 months or 7 months visits of repairs, disrepairs, I finally got a new boiler. Then they wanted to do, every 5 years, they do an electrical check. So they did an electrical check. And then they said that they were late. They needed to be there 2 months before. And they ignored the fact that I notified them that I was unwell. Can they wait until the 2 months later? So they wanted to take me to court. So my housing became involved and said I didn't have to go to court because they're now triggered. They're going to come and do an inspection of my home, how clean it is, and what they could do to resolve my complaint regarding my bathroom and shower room disrepairs. So I'm surrounded with constant created crisis in my shower room, my bathroom, constant crisis. And they say, oh, if we clean your home for free, I still have to ask the question, is this freebie going to alter my tenancy agreement? Are you going to do something like in the future to say because my house was cleaned by a freebie for being disabled? Or are they going to betray me and say it was because I was mad and I was doing harming this property or damaging this property? They may turn around with this information and say I was mad and not disabled and I was damaging this property, so they had to clean it, which is all a lie and total humiliation. So I need to find out either what excuses they would make to make new policies to politicize my home again because they've cleaned my home. Again, it makes them look good. But I'm saying I want to keep my tenancy clean. I want to keep my home clean and get me started with my own cleaners in the future. So they may change their minds now that I've publicized it. And so just because someone's professional, it does not mean that they mean you best interests. And so a prayer is really important. And God is so amazing that I have to be alert and not blinded to the fact that God could use anybody. Even the worst individual can be used by God. So I got rid of my eyebrows recently because I have a scar on my eyebrow and my forehead. When I was hit by a car, I was 7 years old and I was counting to 10. My leg bone broken, my arm broken. Here's a scar. My pelvis broken and I have a scar on my head from being hit by a car. And his excuse was, oh no, so my eyebrow now go wonky when they grow. Would I tattoo them? What would I use to make pencil in my eyebrows? So I've been broken to bits and pieces, and the driver's excuse was, you can't trust those who have road rage and are always making a lot of noise on the road. And so Thanksgiving, should you be grateful to someone who gives you a gift or a freebie when that gift can be a gift of anger? So it could be an enemy in disguise that say, oh, through my housing association, we're giving you a freebie. And then it turns into a lion and a witch and a wizard to make war in my home, to be nosy around what my home is and to violate my privacy. So this is the truth and this is the trust. Can I trust my housing association to clean my home as a one-off which is a freebie because they know I was paralyzed, and because it has been revealed that because of them and their change of policy, that my services were suddenly stopped because of them, my housing association. They didn't care I was fragile. So it's their way of paying me back, or some type of sacrifice. And so can I rely on God to protect me as a one-off cleanup if I can organize things against their organized crimes, so that they don't nose in places where they're not supposed to, make sure that my boxes have lids on them, and so they didn't have to nose around too much into my home while they're cleaning. And so I am also dubious about sharing my video of recording a woman with a robot dog, antisocial behavior from 12 to 2 in the morning. I'm dubious about recording any noise that they make with their car in the drive, deliberately staying in the drive in the park, revving, vroom, vroom, vroom. And what I do when they go away, I burst out laughing. Because they think that they're like a lion or lioness because they've got a car and they've got capital. So it's some type of neighbourhood union and neighbourhood watch through corrupt police that are spreading fear-mongering. And so if I record them, it gives them the glory and it gives them the attention. So I normally choose not to record them, but to reveal it's a hostile environment. And I have nothing to look forward to every time I step my foot outside the front door. Here we go again. I am being watched. And they're saying I'm moping around at home doing nothing. And that they would be the first ones to accuse me of doing benefit fraud to put me in prison. Yeah. And so I'm aware of the fact now what they're doing, but I wasn't aware of the fact 10 years ago what they were doing. And so it's a copy of Me Too society. Oh, I'm disabled too. Or the other extreme is accusing me of things I've never done or said. So God is the guardian of my soul. And it's becoming more and more hostile. In the aspect of being in the middle of nowhere all my life, no man's land. So they're not people. They only think that people who have capital and who have a family are humans. Those that don't have a family and don't have who are alone and don't have friends and family, we're not human. So it's a donkey's funeral. The enemy. Because there's many people who are alone that don't have family that live near them, not only me. And since COVID-19, many people have had their families die, and so therefore, they had to go somewhere far away to have their treatments. So there's many people out there who are alone that don't have family. It does not mean that they're not humans. So that's how they slap my face and spit on my face. And the fact that I have been fostered, she would do anything for any other individual who would ask her, come and meet me. But since it's me asking her, come and meet me, she doesn't want to know. She's some type of a crab. My foster mum. My Catholic foster mum crab. So the Bible says, concerning your protection to be carried out immediately, is so reassuring. The angels in heaven always see the face of the Father in Matthew 18, chapter 10. Instantly, God gives angel protections. No, God sends angels to protect humans, hovering around my bed, around my home, even around my elbow, everywhere, making sure that even that I don't have a rough neck or a rough elbow, it's all smooth. So my laughter compared to the wicked old witch that laughs similar to me, which sounds more superficial. So there's many examples I can give of hostility. To say, oh, we can just stand around and talk and chit-chat and make lots of noise and not really care that you're alone. We're not going to invite you. We don't like your laughter. We don't like your food. We're not going to invite you. And and so it's an ogre. It's a horrible monster. Has anyone seen Shrek the Ogre? Ogre the Shrek? Shrek the Ogre? That's what they are. Oh, the swamp. But that even gypsies are better than them. They're worse than gypsies. Because a gypsy, seeing somebody who is suffering in physical pain, would do something to help that individual. But in England and in native English would not. First of all, you're a migrant living in England since you're 7 years old. Get out of here, you don't belong here. So they're extremely selfish, they don't want to share. They don't want to share their land, they don't want to share their jobs, they don't want to share their neighborhood. So they wouldn't want to have my children play with their children. Every time I offered and I went to speak to them, they didn't want to know because I don't have a car. And I've publicized this, what evil it is through capitalism and colonialism. So this is the battlefield, and I'm on my cavalry ride in the sky with God, whether I live or die. The supernatural help God given me. Warning! I can use a demon to warn you there's something wrong with your doctor. Warning! I can use those who have known you since you were 18 years old to attack you, to make you realize what direction you should take when it comes to understanding the difference between men and women, because I never had a mother to teach me. So I had to have God as a parent to teach me. And every time I was weak, I would appreciate God's supernatural help. I would say, God, help me. I can't do this on my own. Please give me strength. Or please give me the willpower and the motivation to do this. And I remember being totally paralyzed 2.5 years ago. I couldn't sit and I couldn't stand. So the Holy Spirit said, right, every day you need to find something to look forward to. And so God gave me the idea of the pets at home. God gave me the idea to sit up for an hour to do a video on YouTube, which was my pain relief. And the devil came along and ruined and spoilt all of that. And so, yes, every hour, so I then started to sit up for an hour or two, a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer. So maximally 3 hours now that I can sit or stand or walk. So, if the animals can be trained as shepherd's dogs, sit, stand, go, to protect their homes, how much more should humans do in the same principle? So, yeah. What else? In the memories of my journal that I'm sharing publicly. The times when I feel overwhelmed, when the bully comes and harasses me, for example, or to make me feel outraged by an accusation, God has told me to be still or sleep. or watch something humorous. So you can take your mind off. If I didn't have the correct clothing, and I would be excited to have the correct clothing, God would give me clean clothes that actually fit me. And so it's a tremendous amount of intervention from the holy angels who gave me joy, peace, supernatural help. Sometimes I was so pale because of having to take vitamin D supplements, not having enough sunshine, being indoors, bedbound and housebound, bedridden. Then I was advised by somebody else who gave me a second opinion that vitamin D pills can actually be bad for you. It's better to have food, healthy food. So I found an app that could help me find some healthy food that was also attacked. And so I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do in that disappointment that I can no longer use certain apps to shop for healthy food. But it's God's way to encourage and protect me, to say better be safe than sorry, than to be affiliated with someone that is anti-migrants. So I may not look like a Muslim. I could look as a Pakistani. And again, this is their envy and jealous. You're not allowed to be happy. You're not allowed to have children. You're not allowed to be educated. You're not even allowed to sit at peace in your own living room, in your own dining room, without someone spying on you secretly or listening to you with secret devices. So what am I supposed to do? Shrink like a fairy and hide in my tin tin? I've got a tin here somewhere. They want to shred me to bits and put me in a tin and butcher me. My tin vagina, my tin bottom, my tin breasts, my tin ovary. They all do want to condense everything. And so this is how bad it is. Backdated to maybe 50 years ago, things were not as bad. People were more as hippies. They would accept other nationalities. But now it's becoming extreme that it's become the fashion through Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson's. They're focusing on the criminals of migrants who are Muslim, and yet they don't seem to realize that it is the Arabs that were in control of the Trade Center in September 11th situation. Warning. It's the Arabs who are in control of our currency for the future of digital money. Warning. And so therefore, the more they fight and say that this country doesn't belong to the Muslims, the more it will impoverish England, United Kingdom. Our banks will close down, our shops will close down, there's more violence as a result of these aggressive thugs that are making England antichrist, and they're saying authentic legal migrants who are poor, or anybody who's black, anybody who's a Muslim, they would be incriminated automatically through new AI systems. So what's unfolding is that they're worse than gypsies, the scum. It doesn't make them more youthful for being aggressive. It doesn't make them more youthful for being arrogant. And yet they never learn. It makes them have premature aging and premature death. That's the curse in England. Because they have persecuted the saints, they have persecuted the innocent, they have incriminated the black, they have focused on the crimes of the Muslims, refugees, asylum seekers and migrants, and yet they've bombed the shit out of the Muslims' countries. That's why they're here. And because they have a system that is terminally the same as terminally ill disease. They have a very bad system for these migrants coming in England, coming in America. They have a bad system in place. So it's not their fault, it's the Foreign Secretary's fault. It's not their fault, it's the government's fault that's made this mess and put the blame on the migrants. So when we have fallen short of our food supply, it's their fault now again. It's the migrants has taken all the food from the shops. Really? Everything is the migrants' fault. God can use anyone, so this is my message in this main video. And being bedridden and housebound. So love has the power to remove sin, remove rebellion, remove aggression, remove arrogance, as I have mentioned in this video. But further into this video, as to worshipping God, it's a disgrace to publicly worship God. You should do it privately because Jesus commanded, shut the door, pray in private, worship God in private. Unless it is a national repentance or once a year national gathering, special occasion. So this is the curse of my ex-husband on my life. And they're all jerking off on tossing around, masturbating, evil single men who either want to commit suicide or they want to make civil unrest. These type of men are not going to do anything. They're a pervert and obscurance of justice. And a lot of these hooligans are either left or right extremists, both sides. Both sides are guilty of this fact, because when we do have digital money and the Muslims are in control of that, it will make England a third world nation. While all these politicians in England pack up their suitcases and leave to live in another country, abroad. So that's how they betray us. They're going to make this country a very poor country. No one will want to trade with England after breakfast. All the Asians do not want to trade with England anymore because of the wrong judgment that they've made through Brexit, through being hostile towards anyone who is foreign or a stranger or a migrant. And so God will judge them for in adding insult to my injuries. God will also judge them for the wrongs that they've done to be anti-migrant. And the worst demon of all, who was my ex-abuser, is living leisurely and happily abroad, blaspheming the Holy Spirit. So he's left. He's abroad now. But it says, when he returned to England, someone's going to kill his own son in 2 Kings chapter 19, or his own sons or children will kill him when he returns, or when he leaves England again, one or the other, which is God's revenge against my main abuser, who's still alive, who was my first fiancé. His name was John. And so they've weaponized my past, they've weaponized all my information about me, but they don't do that to the English woman. They only do it towards the women who are supposed to be migrants. I have a British passport, it doesn't say migrant on there. What? It doesn't say migrant on there. And so this has all been triggered by far-left extremists and the far-right extremists. And they're all undisciplined criminals. Doing this video is similar to an exorcist, because it talks about Judgment Day. Also in Matthew chapter 13, verse 49 to 50. In the Revelation, the vision of heaven, and many angels, numbering more than thousands and million, showing God's people evocatively how God is so much more worthy of our praise than we realize. So there's many ways of giving God thanksgiving. Just a simple breath, Simple trust, childlike trust. There's many ways to give God praise. After September 11th in 2001, or was it 2002? Everybody has come to hate Israel. And Christianity. They're racist towards Christians and they're racist towards the Muslims, both. They're saying, oh, we hate the Palestinians and we hate the Jews. We hate the Muslims and we hate the Jews. Get out of England. So that's not worshipping God. That's the opposite of worshipping God. And so they're godless. Thanksgiving. You can thank God, and remember them that Muslims and Jews are cousins, and that God has come also for the whole world, not only for the Jews and the Muslims. God's come for not only for the Arabs. God's come for the whole world. And both my father and my mother and my cousins and my daughter have become less of a Christian. And I am very upset by that. I am upset by bad racism. Is there such a good thing? Is there such a thing as good racism? Yes, when God decides, when God's against a certain race. Which happens to be the majority of Japan. And England seems to support Japan more than China. So there are a few people, even more so in the minority of the Japanese, that are Christians. And there's more Chinese Christians than there are Japanese. I don't know. I want to find out. Because God wants them all wiped out. God's against that race. Another country is India. So it would be up to God to make the genocide against them, not up to humans. And that's how I close my video now. I'm glad I did this video. Maya Marie, and my new name is Mimma, middle of August 2024. And the actual date is Monday the 12th of August 2024.